to DBX Labs. Today we're going to start off on a project that I've wanted to do for a while, which is converting urine into potassium nitrate and subsequently into rocket fuel. Now, Cody's lab made a video on converting urine into black powder a while back. It wasn't just one step urine to black powder, but he produced potassium nitrate, which he then mixed with charcoal and sulfur, which he found on his property. This is going to be different. I'm not making black powder. I'm going to try to launch a rocket using the potassium nitrate that I make, along with some sugar, just plain sugar. So this bucket is going to serve to hold urine, manure, and some grasses, as the bacteria from the manure turns the urea in the urine into nitrates. And this takes a long time to occur, but hopefully over the span of a few months I'll be able to check on it. And in order to check on it and let the used up urine and water escape, I'm going to have to cut a hole into the bottom of this to let all that liquid out as we go along through this. The way I'm gonna make that hole and monitor the dispense of the liquid is using this cap from this Gatorade bottle, and it has this little twist on it that opens and closes it. So hopefully that should work pretty well. If it doesn't work very well, I'm gonna have urine spilling out, so I have to make it work pretty well. I'll probably just use some epoxy. Okay, so now that the 5-gallon bucket is water resistant in the hole, I am going to throw some grasses into the bottom of it and then put some manure on top of the grasses, and after that I should be able to just pour some urine over it, and day by day it should fill up. Some will evaporate, and if it gets too high I can just empty out some. But after a while, hopefully we should see some nitrate forming on the grasses, and we should see some crystals. Okay, so we got our grasses and our manure in there. Now we just have to add the DBX piss that we have collected. So what this is going to do is add the urea to the mix, and this will sort of compost over some time. The bacteria and the manure will break down the urea, turn some of it into nitrates, which will build up, and later on we'll add some wood ash as a source of potassium ions, which will form the potassium nitrate. This is really pungent right now, so I'm going to move this to a place farther away from the house. So in the meantime, while we're waiting for the urine to ferment in the bucket, I've got another project which I hope to kind of introduce to the channel, and that's this new colony of bees which I just installed a couple days back. My old hive that lasted from 2 years ago to last year died during the winter, and I installed a new package into the hive. They seem to be doing pretty well. I'll open it up and we'll see what's inside. Okay, so basically what I'm going to be doing in this portion of the video is open up the hive, take a look inside, see how the bees are adjusting to the hive, and see if the queen has escaped her little cell that she came packaged in. This was a little tin full of sugar water that came with the package of bees. Doesn't look like they dug into it too much. Still mostly full of water, sugar water. So we'll smoke them a little bit. Now the colony should be pretty small at this point. About 5,000 bees were shipped in the package, and they'll grow exponentially in the early spring, especially when where I live, dandelions are a big nectar season. There's not a lot of nectar other than dandelions, and hopefully last year's honey that we kept in this hive should be sustaining these bees through the early months as they have to adjust to being such a small colony and such a large hive. So up here, this is what's called the a super. It's called a super because there's a queen excluder right here, and well, it's not called a super for any reason in particular, but super or supers are exclusively only honey, and the way they prevent that is the queen is kept on the bottom boxes by this queen excluder, the sheet right here. I'll get to that. And only workers and possibly drones can make it to the upper level of the hive, which means that everything up here is exclusively honey. This, I'd expect this to be from last year. I mean, there's really no way that these bees could have made this year. Even if they did, it would have been all white comb, which means it's brand new, and it's not. That's comb weeks old, or last year's colony probably made that comb a couple weeks before they died. Okay. So if I recall correctly, the queen cell, or the queen little solitary chamber that she got shipped in, is on either I'm pretty sure the second box. So we'll take this off. Okay. So this bee just landed on me, and looks like these bees have been out and about because they do have pollen on them. That's good. So it might be hard to see in the camera, but here's the queen container. And in there, it's a little hard to see, but the queen, along with a few bees to, what are they called? There's a name for the bees that are shipped with the queen to keep her company and feed her while she's in there. But these bees are digging their way into the little cell to dig her out. The reason they do that is this queen did not come from the same colony as all these bees, so they aren't familiar with one another. There's this little sheet of what's it called, to keep them apart but enough that they can see each other, smell each other, get the queen's pheromones. And they're digging their way in through the sugar wall. Looks like they're about 2/3 the way through. In a couple days or so, she'll be out and start laying eggs. It's good to know that they're this calm around her. If they didn't accept her, this would have been swarming with bees that were much angrier than how they look. So I'm sure I could have just taken out this one of the corks like right there and she'd be fine, but we'll just let them dig their way out. Where'd I put that? I have no clue where I put that thumbtack. We'll just use some wax to hold it down. Oh, there's the thumbtack. Okay. Well, the wax would have probably done a fine job. So just for the hell of it, I'll take out another frame, show you guys what it looks like. Now, it might be a little bit moldy. It was moldy when we installed the package a few days back, but they might have been doing some housekeeping already. Be nice if they did. So yeah, they looks like they're really consuming all the honey that was in the hive. There's certainly a lot of honey on these frames, especially these upper boxes, going into the winter, and the colony that died over the winter, they left a lot of it because they died pretty early on. And I wouldn't be surprised if they've eaten nearly all this frame in the past few days since they got in here. That's good, because once the queen gets out, that's more to her, to lay more eggs and to feed more larvae and to get more bees out in the air. So the hive looks pretty good. I think I'm going to close it up. At this point, there's really nothing else to check. And if you guys have any questions about what you see in the hive, feel free to leave a comment. I am perfectly willing to make follow-up videos on this hive. Kind of wish I started the channel last year so I could have shown it when I was booming, but I didn't do that, of course. Okay guys, I think that's going to be it for this video. The piss bucket will take a while to really get going. I'm sure I can monitor it and check it a few months in. Of course, adding pee once or twice a week to it to keep it running. And hopefully we'll get some good potassium nitrate crystals from it, probably by early fall. And we can use those to make the rocket fuel, of course. As for the bees, I don't know how this video is really gonna turn out. I feel like it's too reminiscent of Cody's lab, and that's already on YouTube. So if you like it, leave it in the comments, and I'll make more of them. I certainly have the time to. So see you guys next time.